Hey everyone, GTL here. So I found this article on the Boycott United States subreddit, and I think it's a good one to share with everyone. It's titled, Many Canadians are boycotting the US, so this is where they're traveling instead. I think it's a good reminder that Canadians are still traveling because everything in the news right now is about the tariffs upcoming. And when I read this article, it reassured me that Canadians, we are still boycotting the United States. And some of the people that you're going to be hearing from, they actually mentioned the 77 million people that voted for this. And I'm glad they do mention that because it's not just about the one guy that's in the White House. It's about the people that put him there as well. So I'm going to share these three stories from different Canadians and where they're going instead. But I also want to share some of the feedback from the subreddit as well. Because like I said earlier, I feel like the topic of tourism and boycotting the United States has been kind of dying off. I mean, the US media, they don't even mention it anymore. My guess is because they got too much other shit to worry about. But at the same time as well, they're probably downplaying the effect that Canadians actually make on them. So we'll get into this article today. And before I get started, I want to give my daily thanks to everybody that's supporting my Substack page as well as my Buy Me a Coffee page. And when it comes to the Buy Me a Coffee page, I do see everybody's comments. But unfortunately, I don't have time to reply to every single one of them. But they are sincerely appreciated. And what I was actually planning to do was maybe get to all of the comments when I'm on my flight over to Vancouver. And yes, it's getting close to crunch time when we're going to leave, so we have a lot to do before that. But I hope I have a little bit of time to at least respond to some of the comments. But for everyone contributing to my Buy Me a Coffee page, it's really sincerely appreciated. Alright, I want to get to this article, and it's titled, Many Canadians are boycotting the US, so this is where they're traveling instead. I'll read this one out for everyone in case you're just listening or visually impaired. Prior to US President Taco Tuesday's re-election, Kent Truscott and his family, from London, Ontario, have taken multiple trips south of the border, including California and most recently New York in 2023. But since late 2024, my family and I completely decided to boycott the United States, he told BBC. That meant canceling a trip last spring to Texas to watch the SpaceX Starship launch with his brother. The two had planned to fly down from Toronto, rent a car, and stay a week to watch the launch, likely spending thousands of dollars. Truscott and his wife decided to spend the money in Canada instead, the Atlantic provinces of Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, to be exact. Their decision is a response to the US tariffs and President's comments about annexing their country. More than a year after Taco Tuesday's return to the White House, many Canadians like Truscott are holding firm on their boycott on travel to the US. Now, if you're part of the GTO community or following any other Canadian content creator that's following the same topics that I do, this shouldn't be a surprise to you. I mean, we're all on board when it comes to the US boycott. But we have to remember that this is a BBC article, and their audience is not your typical Canadians like us. It's those in Europe. And I'm glad our story is getting out. I mean, we want the world to know that, hey, Canada is not taking their shit anymore. So it's good to know that our stories are getting out there, not just to Canadian audience, but to the world. Moving on. Even with a slight uptick in road trips to the US in April, Canadians made 800,000 fewer trips that month compared to the same time last year, in 2024, before Taco was elected, according to national data. The boycott meant a loss of $3.3 billion, $2.35 billion, I'm guessing that's US dollars, and then 1.75 billion pounds in travel revenue for the US last year, money that Canadians have instead chosen to spend overseas or exploring their own country. The financial void has been felt by a number of American cities and states who have urged Canadians to return through targeted advertisements and special deals. Yeah, fuck their deals. In July, New York City Tourism Board said it will offer Broadway tickets and hotel rooms to Canadian tourists at 30% discount. Yeah, and what do we think about their discounts? Yeah, they can go shove their discounts where the sun don't shine. The BBC spoke to a few Canadians about why they've chosen to avoid the US, where they have gone instead, and what it would take for them to return. Not everyone is driven solely by Taco Tuesday's treatment of Canada, with some noting that the decline in the Canadian dollar has also made the US less affordable. Oh, fuck sakes. You know, I think we also have some Canadians that are not too bright as well. I mean, they keep blaming it on the exchange rate, but if you look at the exchange rate from like 2024 to now, there's really no difference. And a movement of like 5 cents up or down is really not going to sway my decision. I mean, I was going to the States when it was like in the low 60s. And for me, it was because I wanted to go. The exchange rate really didn't matter. So it really irks me whenever I hear the exchange rate. I mean, that's not really what it is, to be honest. Anyways, but many say they feel their country's relationship with the US has hit a breaking point, and that it would take a lot for them to return, if at all. Trading Texas for Atlantic Canada. Once they decided a vacation in Atlantic Canada, Ken Truscott and his wife embraced the idea of discovering their own country. They rented a vehicle, hiked the scenic Cabot Trail, and stayed at a resort on the Atlantic Ocean run entirely by women. I had the best halibut dinner of my life, caught by someone that morning out in the bay, he recalled. He added that he was unsure if he would return to the US again. There had been a fundamental break, Trescott said, noting anti-immigration raids and other Taco Tuesday policies that he does not agree with, as well as President's rhetoric and actions against Canada. Now, I think many of us watching this video right now can relate to what Kent said. It's really not just about the one guy. It's about the policies that he's implementing, but for me, it's also the people that are helping him. All the senators and governors and other politicians, the ones that are encouraging everything that's going on right now, they're not going to go anywhere. And chances are some of them are going to be reelected as well, and the shit's just going to keep going. That's the fundamental break for me, so I agree with Kent on this one. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And this is a great quote from Kent. As much as I would like to say when Taco Tuesday leaves, everything will go back to normal, well, 70 million people voted for it, he said. It's almost like Kent watches my channel. Kent, if you watch my videos, reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you. Moving on to the next couple. A canceled cruise through the Panama Canal. Linda Rousseau and her husband Joe have lived in Texas for 19 years prior to retiring in their home country of Canada. Their move back was scheduled for last summer, but was pushed earlier to February 2025 because of their anger towards the Taco Tuesday re-election. We just couldn't stand the idea of living there while he was running things, Rousseau, who now lives in Ottawa, said. She and her husband decided to boycott the US altogether after Taco Tuesday began calling Canada the 51st state and the former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau governor. That summer, the couple canceled a cruise that was due to depart from New York City and go through the Panama Canal. Instead, they rebooked it with the same company on a different cruise through Rome and Barcelona, where Rousseau said they enjoyed exploring ancient ruins and eating delicious food. I mean, it's not New York's fault, but Taco Tuesday is in charge of it all, and so it all takes a hit, Rousseau said. Now, I agree with her statement that Taco Tuesday is in charge of it all, but I don't really agree with her statement when she says New York is not at fault. I mean, let's just face the reality. Any state, whether blue or red, they have some sort of part in this. And I want to remind everybody, for the state of New York, 3,548,552 people have actually voted for Taco Tuesday. I mean, this is just my opinion, but you can't ignore these 3.5 million that actually voted for Taco Tuesday that live in New York. So to that guy I talked about in a few videos ago who said that, hey, what do you have against New York? Well, I got 3.5 million reasons of things to go against New York. And if you have a problem with that, you should go talk to those 3.5 million people. I mean, they're part of your state and your country, so go talk to them. Back to the article. The couple, who is a dual US and Canada citizen, has also scrapped their plans to becoming snowbirds, a term used to describe Canadians who spend the cold winter months in warm US states like Florida and Arizona. They now only cross the border occasionally to pick up their mail and come back, Rousseau said, avoiding spending any money while there. Rousseau added that she mourns the loss of convenience of being able to drive and spend time in the US, which is much cheaper to visit than most overseas destinations due to sheer proximity. But through the boycott, she says she gained a little bit more pride in Canada. Now, I can relate to her when she says she misses the convenience and being able to just cross the border. I mean, you guys all know, I used to drive to Washington State a lot. More than I should have. But it was like a weekend trip and, something to do on the weekends. Cross the border, pick up a package, maybe do a bit of shopping, buy some of that fucking Irish clam chowder. Yeah, fuck that guy. I'm so pissed off at him. If you're new to my channel, you don't know what I'm talking about. This is the president and CEO of Irish clam chowder. And they're based in Seattle. And every time I needed to go to Seattle, I would buy like a cup or maybe even a tub. And I didn't know this guy was the president and CEO. And I featured this guy for a good 3 months on my channel. Here's the video.
If you come from Canada with a Canadian driver's license or a passport, or you use that goofily delightful Canadian accent, we'll give you a 30% discount.
So when I found out this jackass was a president and CEO of a company that I used to spend tons of money at, I got pretty pissed off. Where the fuck does this guy get off on calling me a goofily Canadian accented person when I'm spending a shitload of money at his place? So fuck this guy. If you're part of the GTL community, you know I hate this guy, but I had to bring it up. But aside from this guy, I mean, I do miss going to the United States. I'm not going to lie. Especially when you have connections down there as well. But none of that will overturn my decision to boycott their country. Moving on to the next couple. City hopping in Morocco in lieu of California. Nick Smith was never a Taco Tuesday fan. The Vancouver retiree had stopped going on road trips to Seattle, hey, just like me, and to major US national parks with his children after President was first elected in 2016. Wow, he stopped earlier than I did. I was still going to the United States in the first term. He said he resumed his trip south of the border when Joe Biden took over, but is now back to avoiding the US, especially after seeing his fellow Canadians boycott as well. Now, we're not even considering it, he said. Smith has even avoided taking connecting flights through American cities to other destinations. Last autumn, he and his friends traveled to Mexico City and opted for a direct flight from Vancouver instead. I'm not gonna lie. It does make me all warm and fuzzy inside to hear people saying that they're avoiding the United States, even on connections and like layovers. Because we know that if you have a connection in the United States, you still got to go through US customs, which then exposes you to the bullying and all the bullshit from CBP. And also ICE at the airports now as well. Nothing says welcome to America than being approached by people in bulletproof vests who can't even pass like an open book test. But I'm glad that many Canadians are also avoiding stopovers in the United States. Now back to the article. Earlier this year, he and his wife Sylvia traveled to Morocco for the first time, stopping through cities like Marrakech, oh shit, I'm gonna butcher these ones, Fez and Essaouira. One of their favorite moments, he said, was experiencing the Muslim country during the month of Ramadan. It was actually quite an interesting time to be there and realizing how important religion is to the people of Morocco and how seriously they take the fasting ritual, Smith said. We just don't have anything like that in Canada. Now, I got tons to say about this because Malaysia is also a Muslim nation, and I've experienced my first Ramadan, when was it? Earlier this year. And yes, they do take their fasting seriously, but once the fasting time is over, they love to eat. And that's where the bazaars are all over the city, and amazing food everywhere. I never would have got to understand this if I didn't move to a different country. Alright, back to the article because I'm starting to run out of time. Asked if he would return to the US if Taco Tuesday leaves the White House, Smith said, "It's certainly going to have to be more than that. I would need to see some sense of reconciliation with Canada, actions that would show a return back to amicable relations," he said. Now, I am happy to hear that Canadians are not just seeing it as one level, meaning that it's Taco Tuesday. There's deeper levels to this. Now, moving on to the next Canadian couple. A bucket list hike finally fulfilled. Christy Mitchell left with her partner Steve, who hiked the Camino Frances route with her earlier this year. Christy Mitchell has made countless trips to the US in her lifetime. She's hiked national parks, attended football games, American football games, and drove an RV through several states down to Florida. The 50-year-old mother of two from the town of Powell River, British Columbia, hey, I've been there, even remembers a time when you didn't need a passport to cross the border. I remember those days. The first time I crossed the border without my parents was actually in grade 12, and provincials were going on, and a group of my friends and I, we didn't have tests that day. And one of my friends said, "Hey, let's go drive down to Bellis Fair," since we had the day off. So we drove down there. All we had was our driver's license. We went down there, had lunch, walked around Bellis Fair for a bit, and then came back. And I remember the CBP guard's response. He was like, "You guys got nothing better to do but to like go to Bellis Fair?" And looking back at it now, I was like, yeah, I was 17 years old and we had nothing else to do, but we were spending money in their economy. So yeah, I guess back then we were even looked down upon as well. Anyway, so let me get back to the article. "I'm of that generation where I thought Canada and the US were just one big country," she said. "I always felt welcome. But that feeling has faded under the current administration," she said, which she does not want to support with her purchasing power. "It breaks my heart because I love Americans and I love America." Boycotting travel to the US pushed Mitchell towards accomplishing a goal she has always had, hiking the 490-mile, 790-kilometer Camino France route through Spain. Hiking 790 kilometers. I don't even like driving that far. She did the popular hike this year to celebrate her 50th birthday, in lieu of taking a quick and cheaper trip to Las Vegas, which is where she was thinking of celebrating prior to the boycott. Her favorite thing about the route in Spain, Mitchell added, is that all the people she met along the way. "Some people do the hike for personal reasons, and many of the people I talked to were in a transition," she said, adding that the hike gave her the chance to have a very lovely conversation with complete strangers. Mitchell said she would be open to visiting the US again if a different president was in the White House and if relations with Canada were restored. Now, we've just heard from 3 Canadians, 2 from BC and the other one, I forgot. Regardless, they're all Canadians. And the commonality here is that they're done with the United States, and it's going to take a lot for them to go back. But the other common thing here is that these Canadians who used to go to the United States are getting new experiences around the world, going to places that they probably would not have gone to if things were okay with the United States. And I've always said that Canadians need to broaden their experience when it comes to travel. And we used to travel to the US because of proximity. And I'm 100% guilty of this. I mean, Seattle, San Francisco, LA, Las Vegas, Hawaii, those were my default places to go because it was close to go to. But the world is a big place, and I think a lot of Canadians are finding that out. And I want to show a couple of subreddit posts from the subreddit that I found this on. And I want to give some examples of where some of the Canadians are going now. This first post is from JFC66, been to Amsterdam, Scotland, Ireland, Iceland, Italy, France, Spain, Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, all since Taco Tuesday has come back. Been to the US 0 times. Has spent well over $50,000 in travel, and on a penny went to the United States. Damn, this guy travels a lot. Next person says, "I went to Spain and Portugal, and holy balls, the food there is so much better than, even better than Canada, but far beyond the trash food in USA. The next person says, in last year we did Japan, Korea, Amsterdam twice, and Belgium. Not a penny to US. Now, I should clarify, I don't know if all of these people posting are Canadian or not, which I don't care, as long as people are not going to the US. Next person says, Dominican Republic for us. Lots of Canadians there. Taco Tuesday leaving will not fix the situation, as he's only a reflection of American values. I 100% agree with this one. Next one, went to Colombia instead. Gorgeous country, amazing food. And this next person says, safer than the US. And the last one I want to show. I've crisscrossed the US for 50 years, but haven't been since Taco Tuesday. We have traveled to most of the provinces and gone overseas for the first time last year. We're going to France in the fall and Spain in the spring. My money is spent where people appreciate me. Now, these comments that I just read out, they're not from the GTL community. It's from the subreddit, what was it called? Boycott USA, or Boycott United States. And chances are they don't even know about my channel. But what I'm trying to say is that these people here share the same sentiment as we do, which means that it's not just the GTL community or anyone that follows Canadian content creators. This is a general sentiment when it comes to the United States. So I'm happy to share these comments with you as well as the article because it kind of shows that outside of our own little community that we have here, the sentiment is the same. Now, it's not going to be all Canadians, but it's growing. So I hope this video reassures those that may, if your inner circle is not really on board with what's going on or they're still in their own little bubble, at least you know that there's people out there in Canada and the rest of the world that really want nothing to do with the United States anymore. So let me know your thoughts and comments below. Closing out this video, I would like to thank Raging Goblin from our Discord server for posting up this photo from Lunenburg, Nova Scotia. I've never been there, but I got so many photos from the community as well as my mom, and I feel like I've already been there. But I want to thank you, Raging Goblin, for sending this over to me and sharing it with the community. Alright everyone, that's all I got for this video. I hope everyone got some value out of this, or at least reassurance that the boycott is still going strong. But if you did get any value out of this and you want to support my channel, consider checking out my Guard the Leaf Substack page, as well as my Buy Me a Coffee page. Thanks everyone, I'll catch you in the next video.